course, I got to remember the sutra. Yeah, I'll wing it. Hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Good as a time as any. So, I don't know what it is about this year, but ever since this year started, I have been making things less complicated. I don't know if it's because I did so much training last year and I feel like I was still like kind of in like learning mode, and so everything had to be broken down and had to be complex and everything, but like in my regular yoga practice and in my meditation practice both, I've really been trying to let go of as much complexity as possible. I just believe that it's not that hard. I think that when I think about the methods that we use in our asana practice and our meditation practice, it's just, even though it's an Eastern practice, it kind of sometimes feels westernized in that it feels like there's barriers. And I honestly believe that, through my reading of the ancient scripts and the sutras themselves, that at its core, it's a very simple practice. And I think that because it's so much of working with the thoughts, that sometimes that those methodologies that are more complex create more thoughts. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that I was thinking about recently is that there's a couple different paths inside of yoga. There's a karma yoga, which believes that you can just do good work and be unattached to the outcome, and that's one way towards enlightenment, is basically to help other people. When I think of karma yoga, I think of Mother Teresa, literally going into the slums and helping people that nobody else wanted to help. And then there's bhakti yoga, where it's believed that just through just complete and total love for Krishna, for God, will eventually lead you to enlightenment. And there's also this other path called jnana yoga, which is the path of knowledge. And really, it's supposed to be one of the hardest paths, right? Because you got to read all of this stuff, and you have to know everything that there is to know. But it's funny because at the very end of jnana yoga, you have to let it all go. That you can't be the smartest guy on earth to become enlightened. It's not a path. There's a path to understand everything, but the very last step of the path of jnana yoga is to let go of everything that you've learned. And usually it's said that yoga is kind of like a mixture of all of the paths, that there's never really just one true path. And I just think it's so interesting to think about, and I've got a few people in my own mind that I think about as a jnana yogi, right? Somebody who's studied Sanskrit and, all of these thousands and thousands of pages for 50, 60, 80 years, people study this stuff. And at the end of the day, they don't need any of it, right? It gets them all the way up to the final point of realization, and at that last point, you have to let it all go. And so I've been trying to do that in my practice. I just think it's a fun exercise to see what's really needed to continue to practice. And there's going to be effort, and there's going to be rules, and we create these frameworks and these strategy in our meditation or in our yoga to help us relax and let go. But at the same time, I think it's important to just get back to the basics. And at the end of the day, we're sitting, and I've been kind of thinking about that too. Is how much do we have to be sitting upright? How much do not lay down? So I've been kind of playing with all of these things in my own practice. And I think there are some good things. So when I lay down, I fall asleep. I just do. Yeah. I keep trying to meditate at night in my nice, big, fluffy, comfy bed, but it just doesn't work. Every time I wake up the next morning going, oh, okay, that didn't work. And so I think there are some things that definitely make sense. But, I would just encourage you to let go of the rules, We're going to talk about one rule today. And I think that the one rule is probably the golden rule of Patanjali Yoga Sutra meditation, just in my opinion. But I think all the other stuff is just extra. And the more that we let go of the expectation of the judgment, I believe that it will, at a minimum, make the path nicer to walk, right? I think that I will enjoy my practice, which will then make me practice more. And the further that I can get away from the negative aspect that because the problem is, as soon as you have a rule, then there's a negative aspect to it, right? Because you're either following the rule and doing what you're supposed to be doing, or you're not, and therefore there's a negative connotation that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing because I've got these rules. So if we let the rules go, there's no negative aspect because it can't exist, right? And it's a little esoteric, but I just think it's nice to let go of all of that crap. To just enjoy it, because I think very few people are going to struggle for years on end with a meditation practice that they don't find enjoyable. I just think it's counterintuitive. I think the type of person that would require to do something that they don't like day in and day out for a period of years is very few. People would, right? And so for me, I've been using, and we're going to talk about it a little bit today in our meditation, but I've been using the idea of a flower, in that a flower to receive energy from the sun doesn't do anything other than just open up to the possibility to let the light hit it. It doesn't have to do anything else. It just opens. And that's really what I've been trying to do in my meditation, is that I've just been trying to let go of the rules and just open for whatever happens. And maybe it's nothing. We got to be prepared for that. So anyway, let's start with just a nice comfy seat, whatever that means to you. If you're on Facebook, you can do this from a chair as well as the floor. But definitely start with a nice comfortable base. Really, that's what we're building in our asana, in our posture, in our seat. I really like to feel my sit bones into the floor. And I really like to focus on relaxing through the quads and relaxing the lower legs, even relaxing the feet. Sometimes there's a residual tension in the ankles or in the toes or in the arches. Just really trying to relax the lower torso. But at the same time, really feeling that sense of connection through the sits bones, through those two bones in your tush, and using that as an anchor point for the spine. So once you feel that super nice, steady base, we want to use that base to help extend the spine long. See if you can mentally create space between the vertebrae. And then don't just stop it at the neck. See if you can extend the neck even, and then even extend the crown of the head towards the ceiling. Once you feel that nice lengthening of the spine, then see if you can open the chest. And for me, I like to think about the sternum out towards the top of the shoulders, creating the most space as we can between the two shoulder tops. Maybe even so much so that our shoulder blades go onto the back body, almost squeezing together on the back. From here, release the tops of the hands to the tops of the knees so your palms are opening towards the sky. And then let's begin by closing our mouth if you're not too congested, and then breathing in and out of the nose. Just inhaling and then exhaling. If you'd like, you can think on the inhalation to actually extend the spine long, and then on the exhalation, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, growing the top of the head towards the ceiling or towards the sky. And then exhale, relaxing the shoulders down the back body, opening the chest, opening the heart. Continue breathing at your own pace. See if you can begin to shift your attention away from your thoughts. Patanjali calls them chitta vrittis, thought streams of the mind or mental fluctuations, lots of different names for it, but it's that continuous conversation that many of us have with ourselves. It could be in pictures, it could be in words, that stream of, I wouldn't say consciousness, but of thoughts. Instead of focusing on all of those thoughts as they arise in words and pictures, instead focus on the breath. Maybe you focus on the inhalation at the nostrils. Maybe you focus on the chest rising and falling. Maybe you notice the side ribs, the back ribs expanding and contracting with each breath. Or one of my personal favorites, maybe the belly button moving in and out. On an inhalation, sucking in towards the spine. And on an inhalation, the belly button moves away from the spine. And then on the exhalation, it comes back towards the spine, pushing all of the air out. Each breath cycle is complete and new. If you find it difficult to follow the breath, it's just not enough to really grip onto, you could focus on any body sensations, maybe your sit bones in the floor, maybe your bottom ankle pressing into the floor. If that's not doing it for you, maybe you focus on some white noise in the room, or maybe a song that's playing. Just gently bring your attention to your breath, or to your focus point, whatever it is. Now, as you continue breathing, I'm going to invite you to let go of whatever is popping up for you. Maybe it's thoughts, maybe it's perception. Just focus on relaxing and just gently letting your focus settle on one thing. Let go of any preconceptions of what you should be doing, what you should look like from the outside in. And definitely let go of any negative self-talk, any judgments towards yourself. See if you can relax your attention, relax your awareness. See if you can move away from the idea of doing, and instead simply being. We can all do that. No efforts required. No milestones to hit. Simply sitting and breathing. So in the beginning of the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali says that one of the paths to enlightenment is to become non-attached to our thoughts. This is one of those pillars of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, of Sankhya philosophy in the Hindu system. Especially like this idea of non-attachment when it comes to thoughts. Sometimes it's described that thoughts are like cars driving on the road, and that your ego or yourself, your identity, is like a dog. We're trying to chase after the thoughts. So as the car comes by, we let our dog ego take over and we chase the car down the street. That's what we're doing essentially in our mind. Chasing after the thoughts, feeding in to that conflict of the car, us, and wanting to catch it, understand it, analyze it. Instead, see if you can shift your attention away from the act of doing and simply witness and become unattached to the chitta vrittis, or the thoughts as they come through the mind. So as that thought pops up for email or to-do lists or vacation planning or whatever it is, you don't have to stop the thought. You can still have it. Just don't feed into it. Don't chase after it. As the thought comes up, simply acknowledge and then let go. Become non-attached to your thoughts. The only person in your head's you. And you have the control to do whatever you wish. Many of us make the decision to continue down the rabbit hole, to continue with our lists and planning, and that's perfectly fine in our day-to-day life. But as you start with meditation, I just would invite you to open and let go. Let go of the need to do, to interact with the thoughts. Instead, just sit and breathe. Become a witness to all of those thoughts that run through the mind, those chitta-vrittis. But know that without your effort, without your cooperation, that they will fade. Just like the cars that continue to drive, so will thoughts. Inhaling and pulling the crown of the head towards the ceiling. Exhaling, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Every couple minutes checking in, observing the mind, observing your patterns if you've gotten caught up in a conversation, got caught up in the picture show of the mind of the past or the future. Just noticing when you've started chasing after that traffic, after that car, just coming back into yourself and observing, not judging the outcome. Maybe you begin to notice where the points of tension are, where the things that you keep getting hung up on, and simply soften around that space. You don't have to fix anything. There's no method to do meditation. Instead, see if you can let go of the expectation. Let go of the rules. See if you can find the space between thoughts. Maybe even finding a little bit of relaxation and peace at the same time. Sometimes it can feel like our meditative practice is isolating, that we are withdrawing from the world. But I don't believe this is true. While it is true that we are withdrawing from the senses to a degree, lessening the reactionary tendencies of our mind, of our senses, simply witnessing without judgment, without expectation of action. We are simply being, witnessing, and becoming non-attached to the mind, to the senses, and thus able to fully connect with what's inside and constant. Inhaling, crown of the head towards the ceiling. Exhaling, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. And relaxing away from the method. Opening to the idea that you can simply become an observer. It's not attached to the external stimuli and internal. Simply sitting and breathing. No big deal. There's lots of explanations and expositions inside of the Yoga Sutras, deeper meanings, expounding on thoughts and ideas. But I think the Yoga Sutra that says, very simply, to become non-attached to the Chitta Vrittis will lead to Samadhi is an important sutra. It is the path to peace. Slowly begin wiggling your fingers and your toes, just bringing some gentle movement back into your body. Whenever you're ready, bring your hands to Heart Center and Anjali Mudra. Being thankful for the space, for each other, for our community. Being thankful for the gift of yoga, but mostly being thankful for yourself, for taking the time to work on you. It's not a selfish act. If we don't take the time to work on ourselves, then we'll have nothing to give others. The light in me honors and appreciates that same light that's in each of you. Namaste. Ooh, nice. Thank you all. Oh, yoga next. Hope your new year is going well so far. And hopefully it continues to get better. And see you soon. Bye.